Good evening. My name is Daniel Katz, and this is Tel Aviv. Just reminding myself. It is very strange to be here, in a nice way. I'm not sure what this is going to do. I'm going to be walking around a lot because I feel this room needs it. When you walk into a room, there's a way to check the energy. Did you know that? You can check the energy, and I can sense right now walking in that we need it. I thought Tel Aviv was like a powerhouse of energy. And there's something about this room. We're going to have to do some work together. It's how many days before Yom Kippur? That's right. Can everyone do me a favor and stand up for a second? Can you handle that? Can we stand up in Tel Aviv? Can we hand? We're okay with it? I want you to just focus in your mind for a second about why you're here tonight. We're going to conduct a little experiment in psychology and consciousness together. This is not on the schedule, but it keeps me interested. I want you to focus why you came. Because it's 2 days before the biggest day of the year. And on this day, we have the power to change our lives, to change our destiny, and to determine every single thing that will happen in physicality and spirituality for the next year. Now, I don't know if you believe that, and I'm not even here to convince you of that. I don't like convincing anybody of anything. I'm here just to share some ideas with you together. But I need your energy to pull this off. And I'm going to ask you now to decide in your mind why you came here. Now, it could be because of lofty reasons, because the holiest day of the year is coming and I need to be a part of it. It could be less lofty reasons. My wife was coming and I need to be a part of it. She asked me to be a part of it. That can also be quite high. Could be you're bored. This is the only free entertainment in town. You should probably make more friends and get out more. Why are you here? Does anyone care just to yell out one line? Why are you here? What was your intent? To learn. Hands up if it's to learn. Really? Okay. To learn what? We have a nice Christian class going on next door. We have a tantric session over there. You have to be open-minded here in Tel Aviv, don't we? What are you after learning? What are you after learning? What would you like to learn? What's your name? Ayelet. You personally, yes. Kabbalah, that kind of stuff, okay. Yes. Pardon? Connect to what? Oh, I didn't even see you. Oh my gosh, my mother and father in the audience. Kamat. Okay. To connect, to learn. Anything else? Yes. Inspired. So I want you to push one step beyond that. I want to learn. I want to connect. I want to get inspired. Why? Did you ever notice that consciousness works as a hierarchy? There are many levels to what we want and why we want what we want and why we want what we want that we want and what we hope to get by that. And this is it's an ascension, so to speak, of consciousness to understand, to bring yourself to awareness of your deepest will is one of the ways that we motivate ourselves on the deepest level. So I ask you one more time, we are here to connect, we are here to learn, we are here to, what was it? To be inspired. What do you want to connect to? What would be the highest thing to connect to? I'm not giving you an answer. I'm ultra-Orthodox. I gave it away. I was hoping you wouldn't notice till further into the session. You like what? To be rational. I hear that. So here's the question. Not you, because maybe you don't want to connect to God. And that's totally cool. So I need you to know right now what you most want to connect to. What would most inspire you? What inspires you the most? Do you know? So how do you know you're going to get it here? Pardon? You're trying. Kol hakavod for trying. Now, before you sit down, this is what I'm going to ask everyone to do right now. This is a very tricky thing. I want everybody to look around the room and find one object that's relatively close to you. It could be a cup, it could be a projector, it could be a microphone. It cannot be a person. It cannot be a person. And I want you to do the following thing, if you can handle. This is weird, okay? I'm in Tel Aviv, I'm allowed to be weird too. Here we go. I want you to straighten your back. I want you to open up your legs as wide approximately as your shoulders. I want you to bounce a little on those knees, you get comfortable and relaxed. And I want you to keep your hands somewhere to catch yourself in case you fall. And I want you to choose that object very clearly right now. And right now I want you to close your eyes. Yes, this is one of those exercises. And I want to show you how interesting the mind is and how powerful your capacity is to pull focus, so to speak, with your consciousness, to see and then re-see deeper the reality before our eyes, and connect to it on a deeper level, because that's what we're going to discuss here tonight, because this itself is the goal of Yom Kippur. It's one thing to teach Kabbalah, but Kabbalah literally means to receive, and it's one thing to receive an idea from a rabbi to a student, from a Jew to a Jew. But Kabbalah was supposed to be something much more than that. It was supposed to be directly to receive an experience of revelation. But to do that, you have to be brave enough. You have to be open enough. You have to be willing enough. Make sure your knees are bent. I want everyone now, if you're willing and brave enough to come with me on a 2-minute weird exercise. If you can trust me enough for 2 minutes, and you're willing to try something, and you can commit to trying that, just say right now, yes. If it's a little overwhelming just to see someone that looks as ultra-Orthodox as me sitting right here in Tel Aviv, and you don't feel comfortable doing it, I want you to be brave enough on the count of 3 to say no. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So try this with me right now. Right now, what I want you to do is to take a very deep exhale all the way out, push all the air out of your lungs. And when it's out, just hold it. You're going to be totally okay. And I want you to now take a deep inhale. Inhale, fill up all your lungs. Keep going slowly and deeply in. You can get even more air in there. Keep going till it's all the way full. Hold it, and slowly and deeply push out all the air right now. Slowly and deeply push all the air out right now, all the way out till it's out. 2, 3, and slowly and deeply inhale completely. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. You're doing beautiful, beautiful. And now exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and push it all out and hold it. You're doing great. And now inhale. Wonderful. We're just calming your mind down. And hold it. 2, 3, 4. And now exhale. Exhale. You're doing wonderful. Just relax. Hold it all out. 2, 3, 4. Okay, just return to deep breathing, normal breathing right now. I want you to open your eyes right now. And I want you to stare at that object that you chose, something very close to you. It can be a piece of paper, it can be a cup. And as you do that right now, my friends, I'm going to ask you to do something very simple. I want you to commit in your mind to giving all of your attention to this object. That means you're going to look at the object, not a person, but an object. There's no reason to look at me. And I want you to commit to giving it all your attention. And I want you to clear your mind completely. And I want you to stare at that one object. It can be a piece of paper. It can be the piece of wood in front of you. And I'm going to ask you to do the following thing now. Stick with this. It's pretty weird. Just play the game with me. I want you to allow yourself to feel that object. Feel the object. Imagine if you were that object. What would it be like to feel that object? What would it feel like to be that object? First of all, look at the material. What's it made out of? What would your body feel like, your chest feel like, your hands feel like if they were made out of that object? Just fall into that object and feel what it would feel like. What temperature is that object? What temperature would my body be if I was that object? What color is that object? There's no reason to think about this object. There's nothing to think about. We're just feeling it. What color is the object? What would I feel like if I would feel that color? What would my whole body be like what would my whole body feel like if I could be that color? Is that object big and small? Imagine my whole being, just feel this now, would expand or shrink to the size of that object. How does that feel to expand or shrink to the size of that object? Look at the shape. Look where it bends. Look if it's straight. Imagine my whole body was in the shape of that. I want to ask you a question now. Hands up honestly if you're feeling a little kind of weirdly connected to that object or bonded with that object. Let me see your hands right now. Okay, that's kind of weird. If you're not, that's totally okay. I'll teach you how to do it on a deeper level right now. Now here's the interesting part. I want everyone as they're standing to turn and face the center of the room. And I want you to choose right now, as weird and perhaps socially uncomfortable as this may be to you, I want everyone right now to choose one face of one person to look at. But the rule is it can't be someone that's looking at you. Someone relatively close to you that you can see a good portion of their face. I want you to hold on to something near you in case you would fall down. And as you look at that person's face right now, I want you to not think about that person at all. I want you to feel like, ask the question right now, what would it feel like to feel like that person right now? If I had that face, what would it feel like to have that face? Look at the feeling in their eyes, the emotion in their eyes. What experiences have they been through in their life? What journeys have they been on? What would it feel like to have their eyes? Look at their cheeks. What would it feel like to have those cheeks? If my chin and cheeks were structured in the same way as theirs are, what would it feel like to have those cheeks? Just feel that facial expression. Look at their lips. If my mouth was in the shape like their mouth, what would I be feeling? What would my mouth feel like to have that? Now keep your attention 100% on this person. And here's the most interesting part at all. Do you know how much this person just wants to be loved? Just like you've had challenges in your life, they've gone through challenges in their life. Just as right now there's difficult things going on, perhaps right now for them there's difficult things going on in their life. Just like you felt you've had challenges and you succeeded and wonderful blessings have come, they've also had challenges and succeeded and blessings have come. Just like you've had challenges and failed them and still carry that pain, they've also had challenges and failed and still carry that pain. But just like you carry in the depth of your heart a feeling that there's so much more within you that you want to be, that you could be, but you don't get a chance to express that. Right now, as they're sitting there, this child of God before your eyes, whether they're aware of it right now, whether they're conscious of it right now, they so much feel a need to be seen, to express the depth of who they are. Give them all your attention right now. Hands up if you feel a little unusually connected to that person right now. That's nice. Keep your attention right there. By the way, if you don't, you're still a good person. God still likes you. I still like you. I want you to take a second right now to realize as you're feeling this for another person, there's someone else in the other room right now, in this room right now, who's also looking at you with this feeling of love, tremendous compassion. On the count of 3, I want you to close your eyes if you can. 1, 2, 3. I want you to maintain that feeling of love and compassion in your heart towards that person. And on the count of 3, I want you to allow yourself to spread out that feeling of love for yourself and other people in this room as well. There's nothing much you have to think. There's nothing much you have to understand. Just choose it and believe it. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Here's the weird part. You ready? Keep your eyes closed. On the count of 3, I'm going to ask you to choose a very weird thing, and you don't have to understand how this works, and it's better if you don't. I want to choose that we're all going to choose together to connect all our souls in this room together. And we're going to bind them together in our consciousness, and we're going to receive the love and blessing of each other immediately. You don't have to understand if that's possible, how that's possible. It's a simple choice. I just want you to choose it. I choose it and believe it. I did it. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And be open to receive whatever energy you receive from them. On the count of 3, we're going to connect together even stronger. We're connected, we are one. Everyone in this room. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I choose it, I believe it. Great. With your eyes closed, hands up if you can feel a little of that connection coming in. Okay, that's kind of weird. Hold in there. One more thing right now. On the count of 3, I wanted you to connect our unified soul together to Hashem and bring His light and love and compassion into this room. I don't even know what that means either. Just make a choice that if there is Hashem, and there's incredible light and love and compassion there, Av and Rachamim, that with the vessel and openness of this room, we allow ourselves connected together to receive that together on the count of 3. 1, 2, just choose and believe it. 3. And be open to that love, that compassion, that connection. If you feel a little bit of it, you can open up your arms a little to receive it. I want everyone to take a very deep inhale, very deep exhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and sit down. Hands up if that was an interesting experience for you in some kind of way. Okay. Hands up if that was some kind of weird cosmic experience for you in some kind of way.
Huh.
That happens. When we... Microphone. Thank you. I don't usually begin anything with that. But there's a challenge when you come to a new place and a new group of people, and you need to find a point of connection and a dialogue point. Did anyone feel that when they looked at the person at the beginning, and by the time they looked at it in the end, then somehow their perception of that person shifted. Hands up if you experienced that in some small way. How do you explain what the difference was before and after? What's that? Oh, we've danced together before, haven't we? Through connection. Through connection, we see ourselves in the other person. It's beautifully put. How else could we explain that? Yes? I felt like I knew the person better. Hands up if you felt you knew the person better. Isn't it interesting because you didn't actually know the person better, right? But you can feel like you knew the person better. Sometimes you can be married to someone for many years and you say, we don't spend enough time together. We need to sit down and talk more, etc., etc. But it's not knowledge that increases our awareness. It's not knowledge that increases our knowledge of another person. It's something to do with our awareness, our attention. That's what's called in Torah da'at, or das. Anyone else care to describe what it was between before and the after of staring at someone? Yes. Became softer. What became softer? The whole face became softer. A sadness to joy. Yes, ma'am. It went from a stranger to a feeling of openness. Hands up if you felt that shift in some form. On Yom Kippur, we're going to do a little group experiment together. You, me, and about 12.5 million other Jews who are paying attention on the day. We're going to try and shift our consciousness in that way within ourselves, within our identity of self. We're going to shift our awareness and consciousness of self, how we, so to speak, usually look at ourselves, usually consider ourselves. And we're going to shift from being strangers to ourselves to being soft and compassionate towards ourselves, to having an external understanding and awareness of self, to a deep, intimate connection with self, from a feeling of distance to a feeling of love. And the mystics tell us by doing that, through engaging in that mechanism, our relationship with Hashem can change on that day as well. Because only when we know ourselves in the most intimate sense can we know Hashem in that most intimate sense. And if the way we know ourselves is, a list of things that I am, a bunch of habits that I do, patterns that I follow, a bunch of neural networks fired together and wired together, and that's kind of how I act myself, but I don't feel and experience on a daily level, on a momentary level, the depth of the mahus, the essence of who I am. I will know myself in a superficial way. And if I choose to believe in God, you believe in God, you don't believe in God, Torah doesn't care if you believe in God. Torah wants you to experience God. You're going to make me work hard tonight. Yom Kippur is the worst day of the year or the best day of the year. Hands up if you're looking forward to Yom Kippur. Hands up if you're not looking forward to Yom Kippur. Thanks for your honesty. I really appreciate it, especially you, Jay. Yom Kippur goes like this. Most people think I really never ever perform with microphones in my hand for many reasons. Tonight I'll remind myself why that is. Yom Kippur is the Jewish day to take a baseball bat to yourself. What they used before baseball bats for the last 3,000 years, I have no idea. But it's a day when most people think we have to beat ourselves up. First of all, you can't eat, you can't drink, you can't have intimacy, right? We don't have comfortable shoes or clothes, we can't bathe or wash, etc. That would be hard enough. I was sitting on the couch watching television, that would be hard enough. But more than that, I have to go to shul and say I did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong, and God hates me, and my dad hates me, and my parents hate me, and my wife hates me, and my family hates me, and I hate me. And then I have to do that multiple times. You do that not one time, but 10 times. It's actually 5 times through 5 different prayers. And the prayers go on forever and ever. Most of the days of the year, we daven 3 times, Shachris, Mincha, and Marav, as you know. And on the holidays of the year, the holy days of the year, we usually daven a Musaf of 4 times. And Yom Kippur has an extra 5th time. So it's this incredible exertion, this incredible difficulty, and it's absolutely miserable. Most of us have 1 or 2 bad thoughts going through our head about ourselves, and we can be miserable for a whole day, right? On Yom Kippur, we're basically banging our chest and hating ourselves for hours and hours and hours. So it's a bit of a chutzpah for our rabbis to teach us that's the holiest day of the year. If you find that being holy, you could beat up on yourself for the rest of the year quite as easily. But the rabbis actually say, it's ironically, it's the day of the most compassion for the whole year. It's a day that's kula rachamim, unbelievable love. It's a day, and I'm not sure if you believe in the concept of energy, of spiritual energy. If you do, if you don't, it's okay, it still exists. And the idea is that this is the day of the year when we feel more love than any other day of the year. This is the day of the year where we feel something, we experience something, the mystics say, which is called rachamim. How do we translate the word rachamim? What was that? We experience something called rachamim. And the mystics say on this extraordinary day, from the tachas kisei covered, from the highest spiritual worlds, this incredible energy of rachamim floods into the world. And the goal of what we're supposed to do on Yom Kippur, which I'm going to try and explain to you in the next 45 minutes, is on this day we can transform our lives and we can transform our hearts and we can transform our destiny. Because on this day, what happens is, if I can talk this out, we are given the chance to change. Not just a change of intellectual direction, but Yom Kippur is a car wash for our hearts. It's a get out of jail free card. And to understand it, I have to tell this story. And I don't like telling stories, especially in Tel Aviv. The truth is that I think I have to tell stories more in Tel Aviv. Rav Nachman says that there's some people in this world that put their kids to sleep by telling stories. He says, but we wake our kids up by telling stories. And the story is a fable. It's for sure a child's story. It's some of the greatest children's stories have within them the greatest secrets of reality. There's a story about a king. Have you heard this story before? You've done this one? And the king one day did something that confused his servants and his assistants in the way they never really understood. He went over to the Holy of Holies. He went over to his throne and he took out from under his throne some of the most precious crystals, the most precious jewels of all of the kingdom. And he put them into this old brown material bag. And he called over his most faithful servant. And he said, I need you to take this somewhere for me. And the servant said, anything, Your Highness. And the king said, if you go out, as you know, beyond the castle, and you wander, beyond our castle, beyond these walls, further away, through the forest forever, there's a city of steel and glass. And beyond the city of steel and glass, there's a city of stones and wood. And beyond the city of stones and wood, at the furthest edge of the kingdom and the land of reality, there's a city of sticks and mud. And I want you to take these jewels to the city of sticks and mud, and I want you to find any old place in the ground. I want you to bury them in the ground, leave them, and come home. And the servant was astonished. Your Highness, but these are the most precious jewels in all the world. And the king said, I know, please follow my orders. And he said, but I can't possibly do this. I know, but follow my orders. But how could you do it? Please follow my orders. Guess what the servant did? Followed the orders. And he went through the whole kingdom to the edge of the kingdom, and he found some dirt, and he buried it in the ground. And that's how our story began. One day, a long time later, longer than we could ever imagine, in the city of sticks and mud, there lived a little boy with his sweet little family and sweet little brothers and sisters. And they lived in a house made of sticks and mud. And they slept on a bed made of sticks and mud. And all day, every day, they would get out of bed every morning very early. And they would walk all the way to work. And the work would just be kind of grubbing around in the sticks and the mud, going down to the mine and digging through the sticks and the mud. At night, they would come home and they would eat, I don't know if you eat sticks and mud or they ate the worms in the sticks of mud. And all their lives were sticks and mud. All they'd ever known was sticks and mud. And one day, this little boy walks up, and he's walking over the door because they're about to leave to work that day. And as he put his hands on the door, he feels overcome. And I can't explain to you why this happened, by an incredible feeling. His whole body freezes. People I know have had this feeling before. And it was a feeling that I can't do it again. I can't go there again. I can't go another day again of sticks and mud. I can't go sticks and mud. And he couldn't open the door. And his family said, no, we're waiting to go. Open, let's go. And he said, I can't do it. And they said, what do you mean you can't do it? And they said, I can't go another day of sticks and mud. They said, what do you mean? What else are you going to do? This is the whole kingdom, sticks and mud. This is our reality, sticks and mud. This is our house, sticks and mud. And they said, come, let's go. And he said, no. They said, come, we have to leave. They said, no. They said, what are you going to do? And he said, I don't know, but I can't do it. And they said, fine, stay here. We don't care. And they walked out and they slammed the door. When they slammed the door, the whole kind of roof shuttered and down fell sticks and mud. And he slumped to his knees on the floor and he started to cry. This tiny little boy started to cry real tears. And he was just like, I can't bear the sticks and mud. I can't handle the sticks and mud. And he was crying and sobbing and sobbing. You ever had those days in your life when you just can't handle the sticks and the mud? And as he's lying there on the floor, he doesn't realize it, but his tears are washing down, and they're washing away, and they're washing away, and as they're washing the dirt away, what they do is they reveal something, and he's sobbing and sobbing, and he's just calming down from a long, hard cry, and he's just finding himself, and he opens his eyes, and there on the dirt in front of him, there's this little kind of bag, a kind of material bag, and he doesn't know what's going on there, and he kind of looks at the bag, and he kind of digs it out, and he opens it up, and he kind of, what is this? He's never seen this before. And he opens it up and he looks inside and, oh my gosh. And he opened it up and there was this light, these colors, these things, I don't know what they are. They're harder than sticks and they're harder than mud and they're so colorful and they're so beautiful. And he'd never seen anything like it in his life. And they were the most, he didn't know how to even explain it. His mind was just like shattered by seeing them, mind blown. And the three things basically that crossed his mind at that moment is one, I have no idea what this is. I've never seen anything like this in my life. That was the first. And the second thing that crossed his mind is, I have no idea where these come from. But if these exist, then there must be a place that they come from. And if they have a place in this world that they come from, how can I live another day in the city of sticks and mud? And on that day, this little boy, he took that bag and he put it in his pocket and he took one of those, hobo sticks, a stick, and the red polka dots, and he put his lunch in, whatever that was, sticks and mud and worms. And he wrapped it and he put it over his shoulder and he walked out of that house and he walked down the street and everyone was like, where are you going? And he didn't know how to answer them. And they said, where do you think you're going? There's sticks and mud as far as the eye can see. And he didn't know how to answer them. And he walked out of the sticks and he looked out of the mud and he kept walking. And he walked for days and he walked for days until one day he came to somewhere so astonishing you can't even believe. You know what it was? A city of stones and wood. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, stones and wood? How exciting are stones and wood? But think if all your life, all you know is sticks and mud, and finally stones and wood. Everything was so hard and so solid and so well crafted, and the people were harder and more solid and well crafted, and they made things that were like crafted and solid, and it was beautiful. He was like, stones and wood? There's stones and wood, and all they told me about was sticks and mud. And he moved in and he got a job and he made things crafted with stones and wood of chairs and tables. Fantastic. And he lived happily ever after in the city of stones and wood. Until one day he was going out to a tree to cut it down because he had an axe and he wanted to make something out of wood and stone, and he put his hand in his pocket to get the little flint to sharpen the axe, and as he put his hand in his pocket, there was this little kind of bag in there. He's like, what's this bag? I don't know what this bag is. And he opened it up and he looked inside. And at that moment, he realized, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this in my life except the last time I saw it. And it's the most beautiful thing in this world. And if this exists, there must be a place that it came from. And of course, at that moment, he realized, wait a second, how did I get to the city of stones and wood? I came from the towns of sticks and mud. How did I get caught up back in the stones and wood? And that day, he had no other choice. He took his little stick and he took his little hobo, white polka dot kind of scarf, and he tacked it on. And he walked down. His friend said, where are you going? Where are you going? You're making such a good thing of sticks, of stones and wood. And he said, I can't. I have to leave. And he walked out of the city. He walked through the desert, and he walked and walked until one day, I can't tell you what he found. You're going to find this impossible to believe. An entire city of steel and glass. steel and glass. There were like these towers that went straight up to the sky. And these people in the city, they don't walk around, they move around, and these objects going, and these objects are made of steel and glass. And in the cities he came from, they took these little boats across the water. But here they had these huge steels and glass from one side of the water to the other, and they would all move across, up and down the towers, and these kind of little cars of steels and glass. And it was amazing, steel and glass. And he moved in, he got a job, and he got himself like an iPhone, and he lived happily ever after in the city of steel and glass. The end. Until one day, he was going to pay. He had to park one of those things made of steel and glass, and they had these meters, and he put his hand in his pocket to get out this little piece of steel, and he put it in, and in his hand in his pocket, he pulled out, what's this bag? And he looked inside, and he went, and he was like, this is so beautiful, it's so extraordinary, it's even more beautiful than all these towers, and all these machines, and all these bridges, and all these objects. And he put his little backpack on and he walked out of the town. They said, where are you going? What do you think is better than buildings that go to the sky? What do you think is better than iPhones in your pocket? And what do you think is better than the fastest cars? And he couldn't answer them. But he walked and he walked and he walked and he walked and he walked. He walked for 2 days, for 3 days, for 2 weeks, for 4 weeks, for 2 months, for 4 months. Until he got to the longest night. And the longest night of his life, he kept walking and walking and walking. And he started thinking, I don't know where I'm going, and the sun's never going to come up. And I swear to you this, you know what he thought? He thought, I miss the city of sticks and mud. He said, maybe I should go back to sticks and mud. You ever feel maybe you should go back to sticks and mud? And he was about to give up, but he saw the sun finally come up, and there was the sun that started moving up the horizon, and he walked and walked and he walked, and after a while it was kind of weird because as he was walking, he realized the sun came up, but it stopped. It didn't go higher, and he walked for another 2 hours, and the sun didn't go higher, and he walked for another 2 hours, and the sun was right there, but then after a while another sun came up, but this one kept going higher and higher and higher, and he was like, well, if that's the sun, what the heck is that? And he walked towards it. And as he walked, he started to see on the horizon was something extraordinary. It was like a building, a massive building, an epic building made of light, of color. What's it made out of? And his walk became a jog, and his jog became a run, and his run became a sprint. And he ran and he ran and he ran because all his life he was looking for that place, that light, that color. And he ran. And finally he got there. It was the most extraordinary thing. It was a building. It was a castle. And it was made out of this kind of this silver, these colors, this light, these sparkling things. And he ran over the river, and he ran to the bridge, and he ran across the moat, and he ran up to the door, and there's these massive doors. This tiny little boy, these massive doors, and he's waited all his life. And there on the doors is these big knockers like in the movie, right? And he reaches up and he grabs the knockers. And he's sitting at the door going. And suddenly his footsteps come. And there's a man there. And the man is like 10 foot tall. And the man steps forward. The man has these extraordinary colors, the extraordinary clothes made of golds, of diamonds, of jewelry, of emeralds, unbelievably beautiful. And the man looks down at the tiny little boy that stands before him. And the man says, yes? And the boy doesn't know what to say. The boy's just like this. And the man's like, what? And the boy's like, I want to come in. I want to come in. And the man's like, to where? And the boy's like, to there, to you. I want to go in. And the man looks at the boy with such unbelievable pity and such unbelievable disdain and says, what? You want to come in here? You want to come in here? You? Someone that looks like that? That wears that? And the boy looks down. He realizes he's still got his clothes on from the city of sticks and mud. You want to come here? And the man starts laughing. And the laugh is getting bigger and bigger, and the boy is feeling smaller and smaller and smaller. And suddenly the man stops and he stares at the boy in the eyes and asks the most cosmic question of all time. He says, what makes you think a boy that looks like you, a boy comes from where you come from, that you could come into a place like this? Do you know how to answer that question? You have to know how to answer that question, because in 2 days from now, you're going to be asked it. And the boy just thought to himself, he's right. The MS is right. For MS, I am just a boy from sticks and mud. For MS, I haven't known much more than sticks and mud. Occasionally a bit of stone and wood. The best I ever did was steel and glass. And the boy said he's right, and at that moment he totally gave up. And he turned around, and he walked back over the moat, walked back over the bridge, and he started walking around away, and the boy just said, he's right, and he put his hand in his pockets because he wanted to mope all the way home, but you'll never guess what he found in his pocket. And he doesn't know to this day why he did at that moment what he did, but the second he felt that stone, he knew in his heart what the answer was. And he turned back, and he ran back over the bridge, he ran back over the boat, and he ran up to the man, and the man's still laughing at the boy, and the little boy holds out his little bag like this. And the man starts laughing more. And the man says to the little boy, oh, what are you going to bribe me? What are you giving me, 10 gold coins? You think I need your money? And the man takes it out of his hand. He says, you know how ridiculous it is to give me? And when the man looks inside, his jaw drops. And the man looks at the boy and says, 1 minute. Pitter-patter, pitter-pitter-patter. Kerfuffle, kerfuffle, kerfuffle. 2 minutes later. Doof, doof, doof. The man holds out his hand. In it, new clothes for our young boy. The man says, come with me. Put these clothes on. There's somewhere I have to take you. And the boy slips into these gorgeous garments, these unbelievable clothes. And they leads him with the doorkeeper around one corridor, down one corridor, and they come out into a big room. And as they come out to the big room, there's thousands of people. And these people are so tall, they're so beautiful, they're so colorful. All their clothes are made of silver and gold and the most beautiful things in all of the world. And when they walk into the room, they're like, that's the boy, that's the one. And they all want to go up to him, welcome, welcome. And they're all amazed. He has really that thing that he has? How's a boy like that? And they all want to bow down to him when he walks in. But when the doorkeeper takes the boy, he says, don't stop for them, we have to go. And they're like, good, hello, welcome, welcome. And they walk past him, and the boy walks past them. Where are you going? You can't take him in there. They can't take him in there. And all of a sudden, the doorkeeper takes them through the room, straight through to the throne room. And when they open the door, they all turn their eyes away because they can't acknowledge how powerful the light is in there. And as the boy walks into the room, suddenly the doorkeeper closes the door behind him, and the boy doesn't know where he is, and thud, he's left alone in this room. And the boy starts panicking, and he looks around the room, and he looks up, and he suddenly sees the most beautiful image, the most beautiful room, of the most beautiful colors, of the most beautiful material he's ever seen. But the most beautiful thing in the whole of the room is the throne. And he sees the throne, and for the first time he says, that throne is made out of the very same things in my bag, and it's the most beautiful thing. And the boy can't even look at it. It's so beautiful, there's so much light. But there's only one thing in the room that takes his attention more than the throne. It's the king sitting on that throne. And my friends, right at that moment when the boy enters the room and the boy sees the king dives off the throne and runs towards the child. And the child sings, the king is coming, and the child thinks, what do I don't belong here. What's going to happen? I'm afraid. And the child says, I have to tell him who I am. And the child puts his hand in his pocket and takes out the bag. And as the king runs up to him, the king just pushes the bag aside. He says, I don't need those. I know who you are. I've been waiting for you. What took you so long? That is Yom Kippur. That story is Yom Kippur. We are that boy, we are that girl. And I need to explain to you what that means. Yom Kippur in one word is the word tshuva. What does the word tshuva mean?